So a trope is an archetype, a cliche, a storytelling shortcut, something that the audience is used to that storytellers can use to help further along a story. Today we're going to talk about the 5 most annoyingly sexist tropes in Hollywood today. Number 5, the very obvious hotness gap for on-screen couples. Look no further than the career of Vince Vaughn and Kevin James as proof of this point. Like, no matter how schlumpy the guy, it's always just kind of a given that he can't be a leading man without a gorgeous love interest. This has always been a problem in Hollywood to some extent or another. It used to be an age gap. Cary Grant and Eva Marie Saint, John Wayne and Grace Kelly.
This Gary Cooper asshole.
Old dudes were always paired up with a much younger lady friend to share their kisses with. This in itself isn't bad, as the happy pairing of 2 people of disparate ages happens all the time in real life. But when it comes to cinema, these kinds of relationships tend to get misrepresented. Namely, it's always kind of a given that men are going to be dating much younger co-stars. Or hotter co-stars, or just as hot, but younger. If you think I'm exaggerating or overstating this problem, take a look at how Hollywood treats the flip side when the genders are swapped and the girl is suddenly much older than the guy. The age discrepancy is suddenly the subject of the entire plot. And if it's a movie about an ugly girl, you can bet there's gonna be a makeover montage before the end of Act 1. Number 4, the femjet picture. This term, which I always apply pejoratively, stands for females in jeopardy, or women who spend the entire duration of a film either crying or bravely not crying. Now, putting a woman in danger on film is not what bothers me. Not in itself, because sometimes women are put in danger as a source of drama, just as men are. It's the treatment of women in danger as spectacles that bothers me. Just look at the remake for The Hills Have Eyes to see what I'm talking about. About halfway through the movie, the mutated hill people finally attack the unsuspecting family in the broken down trailer, and one of the girls gets raped. Which is something that can happen during the course of a horror film and isn't wrong in and of itself. But look at the way it's shot. It's filmed from the perspective of the attacker. Ugh, you know what? I don't even want to show you the video. Suffice it to say that in any rape scene, a shot of a breast is one thing, but when you're inserting long, lingering takes of breasts, shots of a victim's legs getting yanked apart, you're no longer shooting to horrify, but to titillate, which is, perhaps ironically, quite horrifying. Number 3, the female badass as automatic feminist icon. I'm thinking of James Cameron as I say this, who gets a lot of credit for being a feminist simply because all of his female characters aren't afraid to kick ass and take names.
Get away from her, you bitch!
There's not necessarily anything wrong with the films themselves, mind you, that's not what I'm trying to say. I just find it odd that so many critics see these films as feminist works just because the female character can throw a punch. Just look at a film like Barbed Wire, and you'll see why the presence of a woman with a gun in any particular film does not mean anything with regard to how gender progressive the work is.
Don't call me babe.
Number 2, super crass fat chicks. Look at the films of Rebel Wilson, or anything Melissa McCarthy has done post Gilmore Girls, and you'll see what I'm talking about. They're always cast as the profane asshole who's destined to be the most enthusiastically vocal about their freaky sexual preferences.
You probably just have defeated phallus syndrome. We treat it here all the time. But don't worry, we can change all that. That's what we specialize in here. Penis magic.
It's not just a coincidence. If you're a fat female and you're in any kind of ensemble picture, you will be the assumed pervert of the cast. Why? Once again, we're going to talk about women as spectacles. Most filmmakers seem to think that women need to be made into spectacles in order to be enjoyed. In a medium as visual as film, treating women as spectacles is probably the most rampant problem that you're going to find. In the case of fat women being super crass on camera, I think it's because most filmmakers decide that a woman needs to be drop dead gorgeous in order to attract attention from the audience. God forbid you make her an interesting character or give her a good line of dialogue. If she's fat, or not gorgeous, let's say, she's got to be made some profane, crass, pervert, frat boy in order to be turned into a sideshow attraction so that the audience will watch her. Number 1, punishing females. Just punishing them. For no reason other than the fact that they have vaginas. You may have noticed I haven't mentioned on this list anything about punishing expressions of female sexuality. And the reason for that is because Hollywood, postmodern dandy that it is, knows that audiences have come to expect the woman who's most sexual to be punished. So now they tend to go the other way, sparing sexualized females of punishment, at least longer than we're used to.
The Virgin.
Me? Virgin? We work with what we have.
But when it's time to punish a woman for any reason in film, they tend to get punished far more severely than men.
They don't just want to see us killed. They want to see us punished.
Take a look at the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which is credited for helping to popularize the archetype of the so-called final girl. When the boys die in this film, their deaths are largely instantaneous, and the method of death is notably non-invasive. The one exception is the guy in the wheelchair, Franklin, who did indeed get gutted by the chainsaw, which makes you think that it would invalidate my point, but what's perhaps worthy of note is that he was the most emasculated male in the group. I don't think that's an accident. By contrast, when the girls die, they're chased down, dragged, strung up, made to watch the torture of others in anticipation of their own gruesome demises. Their deaths are torturous affairs, prolonged and agonized. The final girl's very survival is a form of prolonged torture, whether she's a good girl or not. So no, I'm not going to talk about the punishment of bad girls in cinema like that's the only kind of girl that cinema likes to punish. It's girls, period. So, there you have it, the top 5 most annoyingly sexist tropes in cinema. This video made me sad, not gonna lie, but I don't want to leave you hanging. I don't want to leave you with the impression that there's nobody in Hollywood who can make a film that assumes that men and women are both human beings worthy of equal treatment. So, we're gonna end on a different note, so enjoy.